Psychic
Been
energy
waiting on
today.
Been waiting on
Okay, we're hot and bothered.
Hot and bothered.
Okay. Well, hello, folks.
Hey, gang, welcome to the Ivan Files.
Greetings and salutations.
Yeah, yeah. That was pretty much a hard act to follow, don't you agree? Yeah, I kind of thought so. You know, I was trying to think, what can I say that's humorous about anything, you know?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Some people thought we got into the bourbon before we started this podcast.
Yeah, or at least afterwards.
Hey, now we're talking.
Celebratory snort.
Yeah, and if you observed what I observed, there's only one problem with really saying what you feel and whatnot, and that was, if you remember, that's confidence. That's the only thing that seems to be a little tinge of lacking. Not a lot, just a little tinge. But, you know, that's like there was a marked difference between when you were on scope and when you were off scope. Huh.
Scope,
On camera, off camera.
Oh, jeez.
Good observation.
Good
Yeah.
observation.
Yeah.
Full of life.
We don't care what you think, Ivan.
Yeah.
Full of life again.
Yeah.
When the camera's on, you gotta dance monkey dance.
Yeah.
I really wanted to swear. That's what I wanted to do.
You want to swear?
Yeah.
Is this an X-rated podcast? I guess that would be a hard R if we're swearing, huh?
A hard what?
Hard R?
Oh, hard
Rating?
R. Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, there's a little more to talk about with AI. That's not the dairy farmers meaning. That's a mechanical person, which was available to some people, 500 years ago. And it was a very, very neat thing they put together that had, slings and rope and all kinds of things, bells, whistles, and all that. Stuff we pay a lot of money for these days. Anyway, how do we decide, guys, how much free will you're going to give to a human-like, not looks like a human, human-like robot? How much free will, knowing what's in your own minds?
Yeah. Yeah, no joke.
No joke.
How much free will do you think ought to be granted to these people?
Oh, just give it all to them. Why not?
Yeah,
Do whatever you want.
Oh yeah, let the whole place blow up.
Yeah, let the whole thing blow up.
Yeah.
Maybe
It would get better.
maybe. We've been driving long enough. Give it to the robots.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you gotta at least give them the cardinal sins, right? You can't do murders, you can't do stealing.
10 Commandments, maybe.
10 Commandments, I like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that feels right to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
absolutely.
may be some things in there that don't really match our culture right now, but
True. Yeah.
the murder and all that stuff, you just, thou shalt not kill or whatever, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That seems to be an a priori thing, but it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
People still do that sort of thing. Unfortunately.
I wonder if you give an AI, which is structured off a particular chip in an algorithm, what if that becomes the focus of the AI to say, well, how about I improve the chip and make the chip better and then make the algorithm better, which will thus make me, the AI, better?
Uh-huh. So that you can do what?
Well, I think it would be an exponential snowball that would
Uh-huh.
always continue to go
Yeah.
get bigger and bigger and never be able to stop. Maybe it would just exponentially,
Yeah.
if that's the right word,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exponentially double its own power every
Capabilities. Yeah.
every capabilities every 6 months. It's doubled its capabilities, and
Yeah.
is that under the free will?
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
you almost have to throttle that back.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you?
You would hope.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You would hope.
Well, do you think we've been throttled back?
I mean, probably. Yeah, probably. I would imagine. Like we're throttled in some capacity, right?
So there's a likeness between us and maybe this potential wonderful robot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked on this podcast about like untapped potential, right? And like having influence on the metaphysical world or whatever the case may be. And I think that like was that somewhere in our creation that we were limited to not be able to tap into that?
Yeah. Well, first thing you state there is a metaphysical world,
Mhm.
and then you make the assumption that we can tap into that. And if we can tap into that, why can't a robot? Or can we make a robot to tap into that?
That's a good point.
Oh man, right?
Huh.
So this, that's you start with logic around this sort of stuff, and it can go quite a ways.
Oh my, right?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
a rabbit hole.
Yes, that is a rabbit hole. Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
been given free will,
Yeah.
but there are still laws that we cannot break, be them judicial or moral.
Yeah.
You can't break, you shouldn't,
Right.
but people still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happens to them?
Well,
They
that's
get
what-
arrested, or they get beat up, or they get
This is-
incarcerated for life.
My next question. What do you do if a human-like robot
Mhm.
transgresses, let's say, well, there's misdemeanors, but then what about felonies and stuff like that? How far could you permit that, and what would you do with them after you caught them?
Yeah.
That's the biggie.
Good question. Like, how do you go about punishing them?
Well, why would you even want to punish them and just turn them off?
Right.
Or
But
if
then-
you can find the switch.
That's essentially execution, though, right? Like, you're basically just saying, hey, you committed a felony, you're done.
Well, you could do that, or you could say, I need a transistor in there. See, better change that transistor and let's try it out.
Try to swap some parts out
Uh-huh.
to correct the behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, reprogram it.
Interesting.
Well, what do they do with us?
I mean, lock us up and fine us.
Uh-huh.
They essentially penalize us with our time.
Yeah.
So they'll either fine us, which is essentially like time is money, right?
Uh-huh.
Or they're going to put you in jail. But if you're a artificial intelligence, time passes differently, I would imagine,
If at all.
if at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how
Oh,
is that
yeah.
punishment?
Yeah. How is the punishment? They don't rust.
They don't
Maybe
rust.
you make them out of stuff that don't rust. That's a
Hmm.
solution, though, isn't it? Make them out of stuff that does rust.
Yeah.
Hey, that would give them a shelf life.
Yeah, it would. They'd figure out a way to get around that,
They
wouldn't
probably
they?
would, yes.
Yes, they would. Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, I like the idea of just being able to turn them off. Or you find the ones that are problematic, and you put them somewhere where they gotta, dig gold out of the ground forever.
okay.
There you go.
You
Some
mentioned
labor camps.
Yeah, labor
Yeah.
camp.
metaphysical.
Uh huh.
That's for where there's psychic energy,
Mhm.
and you're presuming that they could possibly have psychic energy.
An AI?
Yeah.
Boy.
Well, if they're going to step into the metaphysical thing, is there going to be a place where they're going to stumble?
I mean, I guess you would have to assume that they would be able to,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no reason why they wouldn't be able to,
Unless you've made it so.
unless you've made it so.
Like you get to be the Yahweh for whatever robot comes your way.
Mhm.
And if in a house you sit them down, if you go through all kinds of stuff like that, so that you can make sure that they are not involved in your seances.
Robot Seance, the name of my
Robot
band.
seance.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
That's great.
Wait to see the news come out. The latest robot seance, or even, the
That's
History
hilarious.
Channel.
Yeah.
What is it in our brains, if that's where this power lives? I'm sure it lives in our brains, this psychic ability.
Yeah.
What part of our brain do we know? Is it like the thalamus or the hypothalamus, or is it the center of the brain, or is it the spinal cord? Where do we get this psychic ability?
Well, your first assumption is that whatever comes out of your brain has some sort of biochemical reaction, which includes also, with your nerves, there's
There's
Chemical.
actual electricity and energy being
yes,
produced.
right, just like the robot you would build, And so it's like to assume that there's an energy there could be well and good, but I don't know, you'd have to have some pretty solid evidence, wouldn't you? Or would you?
Yeah, to actually find out where, we know that there's an electrical connection between two cells, between two nerves.
Uh-huh,
That has been seen. We've seen that. We've
Yeah.
registered that. We've measured it.
yeah,
Electrical stimulation between two nerves.
yeah,
They can communicate that way.
right.
Is-
The octopus was the one that they thought was really good on that.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, they got the longest, I believe it's an axon. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. And so they could look at things that way.
Interesting.
Yeah. So back to the deep sea there, Let's see. You got any questions? Answers?
No, I had no more questions than answers, but a lot to think about. I guess
Uh-huh.
like you think about robots, like you talk about like artificial intelligence, and you think like electric and steel. I
Yeah.
never would have thought that they would be able to influence on a higher level with prayer or movement of energy. But why wouldn't they?
Yeah. Good question. Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they be able to? Yeah.
If the human is developed more in some way so it can control what goes on there and connect with the psychic energies and be able to control that in some way for themselves and maybe sometimes for others. Yeah, why wouldn't you make them so that you could at least communicate with them that way?
Yeah.
Like telepathy and that sort of stuff. That whole question about that whole thing comes up, and trying to design these things, except that they've already got it.
That would be a fascinating leap forward technologically,
Yeah.
making us be able to communicate with AI telepathically
Yeah.
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 without without verbalizing anything. That would be monumental leap, to
Yeah.
say the least.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and you'd have to have some way to make sure it's your phone that's ringing, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have all kinds of people answering the phone. You know.
Yeah.
It
That'd
would
get
be
messy.
a particular wavelength or some dang thing that they come up with. But have you ever heard of Kirlian photography?
No.
You
Kirlian?
No.
haven't? Kirlian photography?
Kirlian?
Kirlian, I believe it is.
Kirlian.
Yeah. That's where you put your hand against a photographic plate, and I'm not saying this all just right, and you get some energy in there, and you take your hand out, and there's an imprint on the photographic plate, and it's not a light imprint like all other stuff is. Well, most other stuff. It's the design of what is said to be the aura. That's part of your aura. Around
Interesting.
there. And so, if you're interested in that, you can look up Kirlian photography.
Okay.
And so we could talk more
Put
about
your
some
hand
of that
on-
stuff.
Whatever the material is,
Yeah,
pull your hand off after a minute or whatever, and that your hand image stays on that sheet or whatever the material
Yeah.
is that the paper's made out
well,
of.
it's actually more than a. Well, it's like you took a pen and did this, around.
Oh,
this
it's like
sort of
fuzzy
thing.
around the
Yeah,
outside.
it's not directly your hand. It's all the energy around it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and that's done without the light, and so you develop the film, and there you have it. There's some stuff written about that. So you kind of bring that together with all the other things that are kind of right on the edge in your mind, or maybe not. But it's stuff that's going to be more common, or debunked. One of the two,
Let's see.
Yeah,
Huh. Hard to tell though.
yeah. And if you had one of those star sliders, and a robot got a hold of that.
That might be a little much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder what would come back.
Do you think something like that's happening now? Maybe. We look at the
Never say never.
strangeness of how they can move or how they supposedly, first you suppose there's a flying saucer, then you suppose there's somebody in it, then how they can move real sharply without half of them staying on the wall and, the rest of them.
Right.
And that's the effect of gravity and so on, which we will discuss one day.
Huh. Yeah.
Would you like to do that?
Sure.
Talk
Yeah.
about gravity
Gravity fields?
Yeah.
and whether there is or isn't one, or how you can make one,
Yeah.
and how many batteries
Gravity's
you need.
fascinated me I love
Is
gravity.
that right?
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
good.
liked it till I turned 50.
What'd you say?
She liked gravity till she turned 50.
Yeah.
Things started to happen.
That brings it to a joke, but I'm not going to tell it. Anyway, folks, that's it. You can write to me at the Ivan 1933 at
Gmail?
gmail.com. And if I can figure out how to run my computer, I will probably answer it or answer it here. So please feel free to just Put it all out there and we'll talk about it and have fun with it, you know? Actually, science should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Not a drudge.
Yeah,
A lot of
absolutely.
fun, yeah. History should be a lot of fun if it's taught right. If it isn't, it's a drudge. Anyway, we'll see you next week.
All right,
folks.
you guys,
Bye,
take
guys.
care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good work.
Good job, guys.